We are beginning to move away from the pastimes of the children born at the brink of the millennial generation. Adults, the people of our society that grew up without our technology-focused culture, are especially at fault. Kids are reflections of their parenting and atmospheres. So what are we as adults showing them? Inactivity is not being substituted with imaginative playing. It is substituted with technology like iPads and televisions. In schools, kids are being taught memorization, but at the expense of imagination and originality. Our society is losing sight of creativity, and it is being replaced by mindlessly watching or interacting with a screen. Whatever happened to getting lost in a story, reading a book at bedtime? Why don't we see more kids with books?
When I was younger, I used to read a lot. My grandma would come and visit me every summer, and every single day she'd bring me to the library. So I would spend hours there, and it was just, I started in the children's section. I pretty much read every book in the children's section, and then I wanted to move up to chapter books, and so I would start with, the classics like Wizard of Oz and read all the L. Frank Baum books. I read all the Roald Dahl books, and that's kind of how I got into reading.
I've got a couple of favorite book series. I like Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. I like George R. R. Martin's Song of Ice and Fire, and I of course love Tolkien's Lord of the Rings trilogy. All three of those are fantasy novels. So of course I would say people with a more vivid imagination are probably drawn to those sort of things. And yeah, I was the kind of kid who I did a little bit of sports. I did video games. I did creative writing, but I also like to play outside. I like to play pretend with my cousins or my little brother, and so yeah, definitely books are a great way to do that as well.
I think the way I view reading and the way I viewed it as a child was also maybe different from other kids because of the way I was raised. For example, I wasn't allowed to watch TV until I finished reading 3 chapters in whatever book I was reading that week. Or I was limited to watching 1 hour of television a day. I feel that maybe nowadays a lot of parents feel that the only way for me to keep my child under control is to stick them in front of a TV for hours on end, and that really sucks them in. I was kind of forced into that opposite direction, and again, like spending a lot of time in the library, you're alone, there's no screens around you, there were no cell phones, and that was, I think, also growing up in an age without cell phones, you have to find your own world of imagination and creativity, and you found it through reading.
Like if you're reading like Lord of the Rings or reading The Dark Tower, and you're having these grandiose places described to you, you of course have to imagine what they look like. And with a book like a series like Lord of the Rings, they made a film trilogy in the early part of the 21st century. But I imagine that for people who had grown up on those books, the way that they pictured it might be completely different than the way that they showed it in the film.
Nowadays, everything's different. Kids have a cell phone, an iPad, TV, and they're surrounded by all these things, all these screens all the time, and everything is a lot more visual. Everything is maybe less oriented toward reading.
His eyes are going blue, and he's been like stabbed through the chest, and he's like been reanimated, and he's like coming towards him. And I remember, just reading this, and I was surrounded by thousands and thousands of people, but I felt frightened. I felt alone. I felt very isolated, and I think that's just a testament to good writing. If you're engaged in a good book, and I think if it's described in a very, very accurate and specific way, I think you can definitely you can have great experiences. You can laugh, you can cry, you can be scared while you're reading a book.
What's your favorite book, Hazel? What's your favorite book? Oh, is it Harry Potter? Is that your favorite book? Is your favorite book Harry Potter? Is your favorite book Harry Potter? Good girl, Hazy.